The soldiers were given no armor, no guns, no radios, and no parachutes. And even their cockpits opened slower than an old laptop. And this was not because the Soviet Union was on a budget, but because these soldiers were actually women. Just kidding. In 1942, the Soviet Union was bleeding out under the German invasion. And during all of that, a famous aviator named Marina Raskova convinced Stalin to do something no country had done in the century before, which was to send women straight into combat. So she formed an all-female regiment of pilots, navigators, and mechanics, and some of them were just 17 years old. As they didn't look appealing enough to the generals and commanders, they were handed the worst aircraft in the Air Force, which had the worst specs ever. And just imagine flying to World War II with a kite-like plane with no armor, no guns, no radios, and no parachutes. It would have been catastrophic. But the women turned every weakness into a weapon. Because the planes were so slow, German fighters actually struggled to shoot them down without stalling and falling out of the sky themselves. And because the engines were so simple, the women could cut them completely on their final approach and glide in almost silently, which is exactly why the terrified Germans nicknamed them the Night Witches. The planes could only carry 2 bombs at a time, so instead of flying 1 mission a night, each crew flew back again and again, and they landed, rearmed, and took straight off into the dark, sometimes more than a dozen runs before sunrise. And on one insane night, 2 of them flew 18 missions in a single evening. They flew in temperatures so cold, the metal tore the skin off their hands. And one pilot, named Nadezhda Popova, once landed and counted 42 bullet holes in her plane, with more holes in her map and even in her helmet, and she simply refueled and flew again, finishing the war with over 800 missions. By the end, this single regiment had flown 30,000 missions and dropped 23,000 tons of bombs on the German army. And yes, they did it in what were basically motorized kites. 32 of these women never came home, but 23 of them were named heroes of the Soviet Union, making a squad of teenage girls in wooden planes the most decorated women's unit in the entire Soviet Air Force. Follow for more.